Well, good evening. Welcome to Grover Hill Zion United Methodist Church Thursday evening devotions from around the kitchen table. I sure hope you're enjoying this beautiful weather out there. I went for a walk this morning and I thought, oh my gosh, only another month and the summer will be gone. It was like 57 degrees this morning when I went out for a walk. Of course, it was still dark, and 5 o'clock this morning. The only light that was out there, a few street lights, but then some of the lights from the stars too. The lights from the stars and the moon enables you to just find your way in the darkness down along the path, wasn't it? The light from heaven, those just light your way. And I just was thinking about the contrast between light and darkness. So that's what I want to share with you tonight, just light and darkness. And the difference that the light makes in our lives. It makes a tremendous difference, at least in mine, and many other folks as well. Well, I was thinking about when I was a child, at times I was afraid of the dark, even in my own house. I don't know about you. You ever remember being afraid of the dark, especially when you're younger? Back in the day, we only had just a single light bulb, a utility light hanging in each room. That was our light. We didn't have all the modern lighting fixtures today, or at least not in our house. There weren't many outside lights, so when the sun went down, it got dark unless the moon was shining. It was really dark. On television in the 50s was in its infancy then. All the movies were black and white. We didn't have color until TV until the late 60s. So black and white. And growing up as a child, young kid, 8, 10, 12 years old, TV went off the air, midnight, 11 o'clock through the week. I think it's midnight on Friday or Saturday. WPTA out of Fort Wayne had a television program called Shock Theater, and they showed that on Friday night. They showed horror movies. Of course, they were all in black and white, and they didn't show all the blood and guts and gore because they didn't have color. Everything was black and white, so you couldn't see it. So they presented things so that you had to use your imagination today to watch the movie and just think about what those folks were doing. Of course, we watch those scary movies. Today, I think some of these movies today, these so-called horror movies today, I think they're just in bad taste. Just all the blood and guts and gore. Ugh, it's repulsive, really. And it's unnecessary. Just shows that they're not very good at doing what they do in writing. But anyway, in the storyline. But anyway, we'd watch those scary movies sitting on the couch in the dark room with no lights on. And midnight the TV went off. Of course, we'd sit there and we'd watch these scary movies like Dracula and Frankenstein and Creature of the Black Lagoon and oh gosh, I don't know, The Fly, and I don't know what else they had on there. I don't remember them all. There were just too many of them. But you'd sit there and you'd use your imagination and you just think about all those bad things happened in the dark, under the cover of darkness. When the show was over with, you'd turn off the TV because you couldn't watch it any longer anyway. And we'd shut off the lights, and then I'd have to walk through the front room, through another room to get back to the bedroom. And it was completely dark. It was dark. But let me tell you, after watching that scary movie and walking through the darkness, just entering that other room or going through that other room, you kept watching for some creature to jump out from behind the walls or behind the doorway or something. And it was kind of a scary, intimidating thing to walk from just through one room to get to the bedroom and the like. But that's how it was. It was really scary. The darkness was very scary, in fact. And our world seems to be living in darkness today. People without Jesus are living in darkness even today. And if you look at the news media very long, they just, I look at it just to look to see what's happening in the world for a few minutes, but I don't dwell on that stuff. They just repeat the same stuff over and over and over. And they would have you believe that the world indeed is a bad place, that people are bad. People are not only bad, but they're violent and they're dangerous. And so you can't go out your door, it's afraid. Now maybe it is in some areas. I'm not naive enough to believe that there aren't places like that where it is dangerous to go out. But everybody in the world are not dangerous people. They're not violent people. Just going for a walk in the mornings, everything is just fine, hunky-dory. Most people are good people. And I think the good far outweighs the bad. But anyway, it's certainly understandable how those living in darkness, and it seems like that sometimes we are living in darkness and we can't get away from the darkness. David, who later became King David, the greatest king in all of Israel. David, also who wrote most of the Psalms, he writes in Psalm 119, verse 105, he said, "Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Amy Grant sang that song as well and wrote it, a beautiful song. But there's truth in that. David, living a life of danger, whether he was a shepherd boy or as king, wherever he went, he was always in danger. And he said that the Lord is my light. The Lord is my light. And he lights my path. He lights my path. Jesus as well proclaimed in John's Gospel, chapter 8, verse 12, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." Will have the light of life. There'll be no reason to fear. Have you ever thought that life chases away darkness? Light chases away darkness. And light chases away any fear as well. And Jesus brings peace to your soul, to your heart and your spirit, because he is the light of life. He is the light of the world, as he proclaimed. Well, let me just share with you, in closing this out, just a short story about the difference light makes in our lives. Darkness is, and by the way, you know that darkness, they say there's no such thing as darkness, just the absence of light. And yet, just the tiniest flicker of light makes all the difference in the world, doesn't it? It offers us hope, even in the darkness. Just lighting a match will illumine the whole room. And that's the way it is with the light of Christ. It illuminates our whole life. Darkness is kind of like a little boy lying on his bed one night, and he was trying to get to sleep, trying to do anything he could, willing himself to sleep, and yet he laid there with his eyes wide open because he just couldn't sleep. He laid there praying to God for help because the darkness was filling his room. It was just getting too much for him. He was becoming afraid of the darkness. It seemed to be overtaking everything that he knew in his world at that time. He was frantic because the room that he had known and loved changed once the lights went out. All of the trophies on his shelves were gone. He couldn't see them any longer. He couldn't see the pictures of his family. It seemed like they just vanished. The walls that had held in place comfort and joy seemed to disappear, and they just left a feeling of emptiness in him and loneliness. And as he lay there, the feeling of fear just overwhelmed him. He couldn't stand it any longer. And he yelled, "Mom!" And as he lay there in a panic, he started sweating, and he was paralyzed. And then he heard her voice. "I'm coming. I'll be right there." And then a light came through that little small crack in the door at the bottom of the door. You could just see the light on the floor just coming into his room. Just enough where his pupils could constrict and see the light. And it brought life back into his room, and it brought calm. At that moment he saw the light. His fear left him, and he could move again. And his heart was at peace, and he felt comfort and a sense of calm and ease. His mother hadn't even gotten to the door yet. It's just when she turned on the light in the hallway, he saw that light coming from under the door. You know, it's not very much that comes through that door, just a little strip of light. And yet it changed his whole life at that moment. Think about that. Christ may not be at the door yet, but he is almost there. And we can see his life under the door and come along. We can invite him in and come along. And the light of Christ brings peace. Peace to your heart, peace to your spirit, peace to your life. So don't be afraid of the dark. Don't be afraid of the dark. Jesus is the light of the world. Will you think about that as you enjoy the rest of this weekend and this beautiful weather out here? God bless you. Have a great week.